Yes, yes. Welcome. Good evening, everyone. It's great to have you on the call. I invited you to dinner with me, and you are all here. So I'm super excited to see everybody that have been able to join on time. I mean, that is super amazing and fantastic. So let's dive straight into it and let's just give it our best shot right away. So people that know me, they know I keep to time because one of the ways in which you measure successful education consultants is their timeliness. So I must say, well done and welcome to the world of greatness. Yes, yes, yes. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. I'm loving this so well. Okay, so you're going to permit me to share my screen so that we can get started. We are not going to wait an extra minute. So my screen will be up shortly. Shortly. Yeah. Alrighty. So yes, you're welcome to this amazing webinar that talks about transitioning from classroom to consulting. And I'm going to start on a very interesting mood. So there was this, I shared the flyer and the write-up with someone, and when the lady saw the write-up, she was like, Doctor, why did you, okay, let me read her exact words. So, because I don't want to miss out. Yesterday evening, and I just couldn't help but laugh. So I want to start on that note, okay? So this was the exact what she said. Good evening, ma'am. Ha! Why did you decide to call me out like this? Brilliant in classroom, but broke in bank. Looking for house, money would be will be in abundance. God help me. I want to really venture out of this classroom. What's your advice? Looking forward to this class. Let me bookmark it. Thank you for sharing. Mm, that really, really got to me. And I think for one, I'm just very grateful to God for foresight and speed and grace. I won't how will I put it now? I won't say that everything that has happened or that is happening in my life is by my own doing. I must really, really acknowledge that God is really at work, and it's been my anchor, it's been my help in ages past. But I also admit the fact that I understood that I had a part to play in the person that I have become or I'm becoming by the day. And it's something that I never ever took for granted because I have an understanding, a very clear one at that it takes divinity and humanity to make things happen. I think is an exable sweet. It takes divinity and humanity for the extraordinary to happen. And that's why we have the combined word called supernatural. Okay. And sincerely, it's been my pleasure. Right now, I've been able to help close to 70 educators transit effectively from the classroom to consulting. In fact, one of them is on this call right now, and she's going to be sharing her story all the way from Akwa Ibom in Uyo. Unfortunately, we have not met physically, but we have met virtually so many times, and I'm super proud of her. But before she comes up, let's dive straight into our conversation tonight. So if there's anyone that you feel that you'll be here and is not here, you can feel free to share the Google Meet link and let them be here. I mean, you don't want to be selfish with this information because it's actually free of charge. So every time when I get to have presentations and trainings, especially when it's free and pro bono, I don't always assume that everybody on the call knows me. So I'm going to introduce myself once again. My name is Dr. Toyin Sam Emehelu, and I am a competent, seasoned global education consultant. You will see why I said global as we move on. I'm a certified leadership coach and mentor, and I've been able to coach people through transformational leadership Ah, yes, another mentee of mine is on the call, all the way from Ghana. She's a native of Kenya, but she's all the way from, she's in fact, she's in the present cohort of the main program. So I'm going to be giving her an opportunity to speak as well. Welcome on board, Lucy. It's great to have you on the call. So as I was saying, I'm also a certified leadership coach and mentor, and to date, I've mentored over 1,000 people, helping them through their transformational journey, spanning from personal leadership to leadership development. And I've also helped close to 70 people. I say close to 70 people because right now we have another cohort. We have about 6 people currently running the program. So at the end of this month, I'll be able to say there's 6, right? But prior to then, I'm a very transparent and a woman full of integrity. That's why I put 60. I've helped 60 educators spanning from different countries, different continents, to be able to transit effectively from being in the classroom to become an education consultant. I'm also a mentor with the MasterCard Foundation, Teach for Nigeria, Tony Elumelu Foundation, because yes, I'm also a business consultant, and also Landmark Foundation, especially for women. I'm the founder and executive consultant at Core Skills Transformational Academy, where I oversee the operations of close to about 13 people that work closely with us. And I have my doctorate in educational planning and management from Prowess University. I'm also a certified business consultant from the School of Consulting in the United Kingdom. I have my certificates in public leadership and policy from the School of Politics, Policy and Governance. It's a school established by the former Minister of Education, that's Dr. Obi Ekwesili. And I mean, during that program, I had opportunity to rub shoulders with her one-on-one and learn so much about public leadership and policy as well as politics. I'm a fellow at the Chartered Institute of Mentoring and Coaching Nigeria, as well as the International Management Consultant and the Pan-African Consultants Association. I'm also the partnership lead at Equip Nigeria, which happens to be the John C. Maxwell's Foundation, where we bring about transformational leadership as well as leadership development programs across the 36 states in Nigeria. So I'm actually in charge of partnerships, sponsorships, and also making sure that the curriculum is being spread across the entire country. I'm an author of 28 books and a recipient of several awards. I'm a wife and a mother of 2 young, astonishing leaders. So that's me in a nutshell. So let's dive straight into this. Why become an educational consultant? So basically, I used my picture there because it's been a journey. It's been a journey for me. So when I discovered that I couldn't escape being an educator. So by the way, my background was quite interesting. I started teaching at the age of 13. And the first set of students I had were adult education students, okay, because my mom actually had started a school as at that time, and I just finished my JSS3 exams, you know, that long holiday, and then I was thrown into the classroom because, I mean, I was a free labor, you know, free labor that is easy from the labor, right? And so I had the first set of students, which were adult education students, you know, they were artisans, local women, and I was saddled with the responsibility to be able to teach them how to read and write within a period of about 3 weeks to a month. Now, the strategy was we wanted parents to come into the school to see how the school is, have a feel of the school so that we can then begin to sell, you know, the school so they could bring their children afterwards. So July this year, the school is going to be 30 years. So when I say I have 30 years of 3 decades of educational experience, you know what I mean. But then I didn't want to be an educator because I was like, yeah, and they could read and write, you know, I was able to perform some magic fundamentally. I never knew I had that potential, but I just did my best, and at least they could start communicating in simple sentences. And what have you? So after that experience, of course, I went back to school. I intentionally studied science because I didn't want to have anything to do with education. But will I say, fortunately for me, I discovered that I found myself in a situation where I was then, you know, like the way we say, it's the only person that did not pass jammed me, can imagine. So I've had my own success and failure stories as well. So, and I'm a very vulnerable leader for those that know me already. So I had that experience, and then what happened? I had to go through the A levels. So what happened with the A levels was that they gave me education biology. So it was at that point I read a book that I will never forget called The Purpose Driven Life. So yes, I never wanted to be an educator. And I know quite a number of us also have the same story like I do. And then when I read the book, I realized that virtually everything around me and virtually everything that speaks about me, teaching was my first gift. And I was like, what? So what do I do? Because my mom is a teacher, my grandparents are teachers, both my mom's mom, my mom's dad, they were both teachers. As a matter of fact, my mom's dad was a principal, and my mom's moms were the head girl as at the time at the College of Education. And before you knew what was happening, they got married and they gave back to my mom. My uncles were educators. And you know, that book talks about your shape, and everything about my shape was screaming educator, educator. And then I told myself, hey, this thing I cannot escape. And you know, there's a way God also picks on families and just decide to gift them with some particular professions and what have you. So my family, we are from a lineage of educators. My elder sister also has a school in Abuja as I speak to you. And I just realized I can't escape this. So what was the next smartest thing I could do? I started mapping my growth plan. I started mapping my strategy with the help of God, and I started praying. So I gave myself an ultimatum that once I'm 35 years old, I want to become an education consultant. So fast forward, immediately I was done with my first degree. What did I do? So some of us we're not quick enough to have this foresight. And that is why you need someone that had. So in my early 20s, I've always been a very focused lady, quite ambitious, quite curious. So I told myself immediately I finished my first degree, I finished serving, I served in the East. I finished serving on a I finished serving on a I finished serving on a please give me a minute. I need to attend to. Okay, so I finished serving on a Friday and I started my master's on a Monday. Yes, I was that intentional. And then I had my first degree. And then I had my first, my master's in educational psychology. So remember that every time that I was in school and there was strike and everything, I'm always thrown back into the classroom. Why? Because I mean, my mom's school was just always there because she's like, I mean, you can't be on long strike and you expect that I employ teachers. So it was a case of I just kept having those experiences. And I never knew that it was building my skill, it was building my expertise, it was building my my ability to just become a better person over time. And so after my master's program, I then told myself, I said, you know what is the next thing to do? So of course I got back into the classroom for a while, and then because I had my master's degree and because I was actually very hardworking and forward looking, what then happened was I found myself in school leadership position. Now, I wasn't really prepared for school leadership position, unfortunately. And so I struggled quite a lot. And that was why I wrote, after writing my first book, Personal Leadership for Education Educators, I had to write the book, The School Leaders Toolkit, because that book was born out of the burden of what I experienced as, someone that was just thrown into leadership position. I wasn't prepared for it. So fast forward, I gave myself an exit plan and voila, here we are. So why become an education consultant? I have to give us that background story because, I mean, I don't want us to feel as though I dropped from a Jupiter. I had my own journey and I had my own experience as well. So becoming an education consultant allows you to leverage your expertise in education to impact a broader range of schools, educators, and students. So because I was a very forward-looking person, by the time I was already heading the second school, I just knew that there was a whole lot more to me. I wanted to have geometric impact, right? And so the first thing that would help you, one of the advantages that you have is that you are able to impact education at a scale. So as an education consultant, you influence systemic change. So I used to have a business mentor that always said something that if you are an entrepreneur, you must master both depth and speed. And he kept saying that because if you really look at it, the kind of work you want to do is massive. And so you can't afford to feel as though you have all the time in the world, and you have to work with that sense of urgency. So being an education consultant provides you with that opportunity to improve policies, curriculum design, teaching methodologies. It allows you to have broad impact on the education system, affecting hundreds and thousands of students at a time. And then, you're able to promote innovation because consultants are often called upon to introduce new technologies, teaching methods, or learning strategies, helping to modernize educational practices. Now, one of the problems I see, or one of the major strongholds I see in a lot of educators is the imposter syndrome. So a lot of us, because the knowledge comes to us, we feel that who will listen to me? What do I actually have to offer? How will I put it now? And so sometimes, a lot of times, we even charge below our value because we don't know how. Right now, another thing being an education consultant does for you is that it provides you with diverse opportunities and flexibility. So you can work with different educational organizations ranging from K-12 to higher education institutions, non-for-profit agencies, edtech companies, and guess what? Even corporate organizations. So at some point, I got the deeper revelation that teaching is a skill that should not be limited to just the educational sector. And when I got that understanding, I started running with it, and it has been so massive that I can't tell you the impact of the kind of work that I've even had across organizations. So flexible work environments, you're able to work as a freelancer for consulting firms, offering flexibilities to set their schedules. You can choose projects of interest and balance personal and professional life. So you can see me there. This was me last year when I was at Edo State. My company was given the responsibility to teach some experts on script writing. So, with foresight, hindsight, and insights, last year alone, I was in 5 African countries. I was in Port Novo, Republic of Benin. I was in Cote d'Ivoire. I was in Kenya. So at some point, I was in Ghana. And then I was in Abia State. I was in Edo State. I was in Abuja. All just last year. I don't know about you, but it was just a myriad of amazing experience for me. Meeting people, diversity. It was just super amazing. And this is one of the things. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the clap. And this is one of the things that being an education consultant will just give you the opportunity to do so. And of course, yes, professional growth and development. As an education consultant, you are constantly exposed to new ideas. Thank you for the celebration and the hearts. All right, are usually exposed to new ideas and pedagogical approaches and educational technologies. And then you are also able to widen your expertise and deepen your knowledge in specific domains and establishing yourself as an expert. So this was me as well. Last year, I was selected by the United Nations Women Program to be a part of the procurement program. Now, this program, I guess we were just 2 educators on this program. Why? Because every other person that came in from different sectors. And what was the program about? It was to teach women on how to bid for national and international contracts. that has to do with, and interestingly, there are a lot of education consulting projects that come on. But because a lot of us are not prepared for these opportunities, or we don't even know these opportunities, we don't know that we can also develop ourselves. It was a rigorous 3 months program. I won't lie to you. As I speak to you now, I have almost all my compliant document ready. I'm ready to take on as many projects as possible, not just locally, but also nationally and internationally. Now, another thing is, so this was me, Teach for Nigeria. I think this was sometime last year, where I was speaking to close to about 300 Teach for Nigeria fellows. And I mean, this was a huge and massive opportunity because I'm also a mentor on the program. And one of the things that I've done over the time is to help to create problem-solving opportunities for the fellows. I was able to help to apply innovative and creative solutions to help them address pressing educational issues. Now, Teach for Nigeria, what they do is they post young individuals, not necessarily teachers, but just also a way of trying to solve the problem of unemployment and what have you. So they post all these people to very, very remote areas, okay? And the truth is they face a lot of challenges, even from housing to feeding to so many things. And what we had to do as mentors was to just guide them and give them support. And then there are also a lot of opportunities where they could work with the children, come up with their own innovative social enterprise solutions. And being a consultant availed me of the opportunity to work with quite a number of the fellows because I was a mentor, and at the same time, I also am a facilitator with them. So that is one of the things, opportunities that is also open to you. Then you see this one, entrepreneurial opportunities. Oh, God of mercy. You have the opportunity to build your own business. Well, many educational consultants run their own business, providing a high level of autonomy and potential for significant financial rewards. As an independent consultant, they can select the clients they want to work with and set their own fees. And of course, there's also opportunity for growth that is driven by expertise in various areas. So one of the things that I've also done is that I have a full-line online academy that provides me with the autonomy to not just earn passively. I have a lot of digital products. I have, like I said, I'm a brand ambassador for a real estate company. The opportunities are just limitless. I can't imagine working 9 to 5 and then I'll have to, so I'm not saying 9 to 5 is bad, right? I worked for about 10 years before transiting. And that's one of the things that you should not jump out. Please don't live with the oblivion. In this tipping economy. And that's why you need a mentor. That's why you need somebody that will hold your hands. That's why you need an effective support system. Interestingly, I never had. The only person that I walked up to, God bless her memory. She's late now. I don't know, maybe she was intimidated by my personality and all of that. She just found a way to just shank me off and all of that. But I was so resolute that I knew what I wanted, right? And then, of course, we're able to enhance teacher and student outcome. So this is me at Coca-Cola, right? I was training all the people you see in that picture are sales executives cutting across all the different branches of Coca-Cola in Lagos. Can you imagine that? That is how much of beauty, let me say it that way, beauty we possess as educators. And they all sat down and listened. Why? Remember, I've got the teaching gifts. I have honed my teaching skills. And so I was delivering. A lot of them became my mentees after this session. Yes. And so what then happens is that you can also help not just teachers to grow, but also other people by sharing the expertise of your knowledge, your strategies, right? So you can create the environment where individuals, students, people that are just yearning and hungry for knowledge can thrive and achieve their full potentials. So yes, yippee, that's me and the former Minister of Education. Dr. Obi Ekwesili. You can see the way she's looking at me with full admiration there, because yeah, it was 9 months of showing up on Zoom for 3 hours every single day, including Sundays. So you don't even want to imagine the amount of learnings that I have and I am still doing. So I think way back then we paid about 300,000. That was 2 years ago. Yeah, just to be a part of this program. And so one of the things that we are also able to do as education consultants is to influence educational policies. Now, that was one of the reasons why I went to that school, because I just wanted to understand what policies were, what was the framework. I knew I had a bigger picture of being a strategic advisor to presidents of nations. By the way, that's like the big picture for me. So even on days when I don't feel so motivated, I know, hey, girl, you got to get going because you are not yet there. So I think you are one of the few people that are so privileged to hear this, my inner secrets and dreams. All right, starting with presidents in and key stakeholders in Africa. Right. So if I'm making sense so far to you, type in the chat MS, which means make sense. I want to be sure I've not been talking to just myself while I take my water break. Thank you. Okay. So my eyes are on the chat. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Silva. Thank you, Lucy, all the way from Ghana. Thank you, my people. Absolutely. Thank you, Felix. Thank you, Omoloa. Awesome. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. So, as educational consultants, we have opportunity to work with policymakers. But by the way, you have to be prepared. Thank you, Omar. Thank you, Busari. Hey, Miss Busari on the call. Thank you, Emmanuel. So one of the things is that you have to know your onions and prepare ahead to become a someone that understands policies. Because when they say success happens when preparation meets with opportunities, right? So I mean, I had a deep dive learning into policies, spanning across the different sectors, and then of course with the bias for education, because I knew that I really want to help improve quality and accessibility. So with all of this, I know at any time if I'm called upon to work, whether as a team or as a consultant, thank you, Beauty, in the development and implementation of education reforms, I'm well equipped to do so. Right. Thank you, Aderonke. Now, this was me this was touchdown Addis Ababa. Yeah, last year as well. Yeah, Addis Ababa. Is it Addis Ababa on our way to Cote d'Ivoire? Yeah, last year. And this was an all-expense paid trip. Why? Because I've gotten to a point in my life where there's a high demand for my expertise. And, more than ever before, there's an increasing demand. So I remember when I was in Kenya and I was addressing some people and they were literally blown away. And I was wondering to myself, what exactly is it that I've said? But then, hey, spanning from remote learning to addressing equity issues, improving teacher retention, incorporating data-driven decisions, this makes consulting a stable and potentially lucrative career. All right, looking at special expertise spanning across terms, team, and all of that, you can decide to offer niche opportunities where you can address specific and critical areas of educational challenges. So my trip to Cote d'Ivoire was sponsored by a school, Fountain Mission International. Now, this school had been consulting for them virtually from Nigeria for close to 2 years. And then at some point, the school and I was just like, you know what, guess what? We are going to have to bring you in. We want to meet you physically because you've done a lot of transformation in our school and we would like you to see it. So, I mean, my ticket alone was about 1.5 million. And I mean, the school paid. I was lodged in a very fantastic Airbnb. As in, I saw food I wanted to run. As in, the food was was crazy. But I'm saying all of this because, and then I still got paid. I don't know if you got that. I still got paid. So there's just a high demand for your expertise. And one thing I always encourage you to do is that as an educator, build your portfolio, have your evidences of the work that you have done, try to put them together and make them concrete such that you don't have to start consulting before you mention the fact that you have consulting experience. Now, whilst you are still in your school, see yourself as an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone that works with somebody else, but then has the mindset of the owner, right? And begin to identify specific problems within your school environment and begin to solve them. Before you know it, put them together in your portfolio, make sure you have pictures as evidences, and then, I mean, like they say, the rest is history. Then also contributing to educational equity. So this was me. I went back to my alma mater, to facilitate a leadership roundtable through the Sustainable Development Goals Department. In fact, there's a whole floor in the Senate building at Lagos State University that was dedicated to SDGs. You know, and it was such an amazing experience because I felt so nostalgic giving back to it was a pro bono program, but then I felt so nostalgic giving back to my alma mater. And this man standing here is the professor and the coordinator for SDG in LASU. So, I mean, it gives you a real difference in the lives of underdeserved population, lending your voice, providing support, you know, that it's not just limited to teaching and learning, but also fostering more equitable and supportive learning environment. All right, so you also then get rewarding and fulfilling work. You can see me there, really excited. This was at Marriott. I was a part of a small room of I paid to be a part of what is called the KBB. We call it the knowledge business boot camp. Yes, and I was the only educator in the room. Why? Because it was a 3-day webinar, no 3-day seminar, and we had to pay ₦1,000,000. And in my mind, I just kept thinking, how come I'm the only one in the room? You know, and it's just because it was a high ticket program. So it's just because my business was not able to give me that much to be able to reinvest in myself. So it was rewarding to know that my work not only proactively or positively impacts students' future, but it also helps me to overcome challenges and achieve my goals as well as the goals of the children. And potentially, I earn more by providing specialized services to various educational institutions and non-educational institutions. So having said that, I'm going to call on one of my mentees. We have a new cohort of we call it the Education Consultancy Program, starting July 1st, and it's going to run to September. So I have in the room 2 of my mentees, and the first person I'll be calling is Aderonke from Akwa Ibom State in Uyo. I've never met her before, but Ronke is doing an amazing work. So the next voice you will hear right now is Ronke's voice. By the way, there's still a second part of this, ideal time to transition and how to go about it. So you don't want to leave this call now because this is the real meat of the game. So over to you, Aderonke. Aderonke, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Over to you, sis.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be here this evening speaking on this call. Let me use Can you hear me clearly, ma?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So I'm so excited this evening, and the first thing I'll do is to welcome everyone on this call this evening. It's interesting, and I want you all to please help me give a virtual clap to Dr. Toyin. She's doing amazing work in this sector. You know, there's this book I had to go and look for when Dr. Toyin sent this. Sorry, I'll show you. I don't know, you see it. This was
Which one is
the
that?
first free webinar that Dr. Tony did. That was in year 2022.
Oh my word.
You know, I met Dr. Tony on Concerned Parents and Educators Network. So that day she announced that there's a free webinar or something. So I joined that webinar that day, and I thank God I joined that very day, because there were so many insights she brought that day that really opened my eyes to so many things about education consulting that I did not know about. Do you know why I said the insight? Is because I've had over 15 years plus experience in the education sector before that very day that I had the webinar with her. And when I say experience, I've taught at all levels before that time. I've taught in primary school. In fact, I've taught KG students. We call them reception Montessori. So I've taught them. I taught primary school students, secondary school students. During my service here, I taught almost all the arms, GS1 to SS3 mathematics. I was posted to Akwa Ibom before I even came back now. And I also lectured for 6 years at Durban Polytechnic in Abuja. But I did not have any idea about education consulting. So as she was talking that day, I knew that this is exactly what I have needed for a very long time that I was not able to assess that day. And one thing about Dr. Tony is that she shapes you by purpose, not the noise. Whether I don't even know how to, you know, some people, they'll just carry education consultancy as a title, education consultant as a title. But Dr. Tony with purpose. In fact, that day was the first thing she taught us that was that you must find your niche. And she gave us so many instances that will direct us to that point. In fact, that very day, I think it was in September, 24th September. That's why I went to look for this, my book that I used. 2022. And you know, Dr. Tony, that time, in fact, it was like a full consultancy training. You know, every morning she will send us a podcast to listen to, send voice, not even typing, send it as a voice note to the group once you are done. And you know,
I've worked in this my life.
It was a free training that month. So if she goes back to her record, she will know, she will remember.
Yeah.
The podcasts. In fact, there was a day I submitted my own. I even won a book. That was the first consultancy book I got, and it was from her that very day after submitting my own reports for that day. So after she finished that free webinar, she said, if we don't have enough to register for the consultancy program as at that time. In fact, that time it was even cheaper than now, that we should just get the blueprints, education consultants blueprints. And I bought mine. I think, Dr. Tony, is this still 8,000 naira? I know I bought my own.
No, it's 15,000 naira now. It's 15,000 naira now. Things have gone up.
That is it was in 2022 that I bought that book. And the book really showed, in fact, to all the government documentations you have to do. In fact, to how you do the accounting, how you do the research. In fact, that listening strategy, I will never forget that one anywhere.
Yeah.
So before you even,
that's my framework. Don't expose that one. That's my personal framework. Don't expose it. Let them go and get their own copy.
They will buy the book. So what am I trying to say? And do you know, from that webinar Dr. Tony gave us, in fact, that was when I had my own education consultant blueprint, that this is the line and do you know, since when I got that into perspective, it has been from what, in fact, even if there's an opportunity that I need to get to register for, sometimes I might not even have more, you know, the I think, was it 2022, or following that blueprint, or those things I learned during that webinar with the book she gave me, I was able to access a leadership course of about $2,000 on a scholarship.
Awesome. Come and pay your tithes.
That in fact, and you know, at every point, I'm always, as in, you know, I told you at that time, the consultancy program, I couldn't pay for it because I was like, I have so many things. At that time, it was even cheap. It was this year's own I was able to do, but I never stopped following Dr. Tony. In fact, she said, who is this person following? And not only that, under her mentorship, I was able to access the John C. Maxwell Beyond Success curriculum. And right now, I'm even the state lead, training lead in Akwa Ibom State. From her tutor, in fact, most times I used to tell her that I don't want to fall your hand. Because the way she will motivate you even, and it's not only that, there are so many opportunities I've accessed from the knowledge I get. Just like she's saying that it's not only about being teachers or educators. From that clarity of purpose as education consultant that free webinar gave me, and that book. Right now, I'm even the state coordinator of Ask the Pediatrician Foundation. My coordinator for South, and Southeast will always say, once I tell her that, he say, you, I know you. And Ask the Pediatrician Foundation is about child health and welfare. Yes, so how did I get to that point? It's still amazing. You know, when a program gives you a sense of direction,
holistic.
Yes, it's total. It's total. In fact, between last year and this year, I've had to even become, let me call myself a mini mentor, because once my coach is, but to university students at University of Uyo, I have two different student groups now.
So share with us some of the exploits you were able to do with the university you work with, and how you were able to. I remember you shared some of those testimonials during your program.
Yes, because you know, at the point, most times when they come for accreditation, you just see that there's no time they come for. It's just as if they have a special hand. We don't score anything less, because it's just as if you have a special, and it's not about being, it's about the holistic approach.
You were able to position.
Yes,
exactly. You were able to position
to the point that I was not even the dean, but they created deputy dean position in School of Applied and Natural and Applied Sciences.
Wow.
So it's something that it's very, very, I don't really know. You know, this morning I was like, there are so many things I would have loved to share. And not only that, even as at the beginning of this year, we normally do educators retreats. So, and the educators retreats, it's every year program. Now they have even turned to Global Educators Tribe. It's an international organization, though it's on subscription. Yes. Okay. So they were running the educators retreat this year, and they told us to submit innovation that in education sector that can be transgenerational. So in fact, at that point, I just, you know, from that, my submission, I've even derived a particular, what would I call it now, framework now that I call the triple helix approach. Wow. Yes.
Wow.
And by God's grace, I'll be test running that approach before September, because there's a school that we are trying to set up by September by God's grace. That want to test the approach. So from the submission and everything, in fact, the panel, there was one man from South Africa. I said immediately he saw that he was thinking that maybe this person copied this thing from somewhere. So they had to call us for a defense.
Yeah.
Directly. And in fact, immediately I finished, the man said, in fact, I need to work with, he's from South Africa that I was on that team. He said he must, that we'll talk later. And truly, we have really been having one-on-one talk. Maybe I'll soon join Dr. Tony. I'm not an international consultant yet, but I know.
Yeah, no, South Africa is already calling you. So Aderoke, thank you. If we promise you go on and on.
Yes, I'll go and on.
So it's rigorous.
It's a value that keeps on giving. Dr. Tony's core skills transformational academy is a value that keeps on. And you know, one thing about Dr. Tony is, if you send her a message, the next text, I don't think her message takes 30 minutes before she responds. So even no matter what in the journey, and she has a large community. You know, Dr. Tony sends us some resources that it can even help you build a curriculum on your own, right from the scratch. And it's on even the free group, not the consultancy group you even dropped us now before you made it admin alone. Those resources are just, the access to Dr. Tony, thank you, God bless. I'm not saying it, and you know, I've never seen Dr. Tony. We have never seen physically. In fact, the reason why I've not even tried to call is because the kind of reception I want to give her, I'm still working for the money. By the time I see her, and all my children, they've not seen her, but when you ask them, who is your coach, they will say it's Dr. Tony.
Oh, thank you so much, Aderoke. I'm very, very grateful. Aderoke, please do me a favor. If you still have access to those resources, can you please just share them with me, so that we could share with the new, because we have a lot of new people that joined in, so that we can share with the new people on the group.
Okay, I'll run through
just share them with me. Yes, please go through your archives, because I know you have kept them. The way you are talking,
since 2022, I have the date.
I know, right? So yes, thank you so much, Aderoke. So because of our time, I want to call on Lucy. I know Lucy was not prepared for this, so Lucy is joining. Lucy is a Kenyan. She's joining from Ghana, and I just want Lucy to say one or two things to us. Lucy is currently on the cohort. So we had a cohort that started last month. That was in May, yes, and they'll be wrapping up by next week. Yay, interesting. So Lucy, let's just hear your voice. How has the experience been like so far?
Okay, greetings everyone. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. It's lovely just to hear your story over and over again, because it gives me so much inspiration. And I hope that everybody has been inspired today. And I mean, even the speaker who's just left the floor, it's just amazing what she's been able to achieve. And I'm also looking forward to follow the same trend and be able to do as much as you are doing. She's also talking about wanting to be international. We also want to be there. And I just want to mention, I'm so grateful. Maybe if I can just start a little bit on our journey and then what's going on. I met Toyin in a webinar like this through Facebook, and I decided to join a free webinar. It was amazing. And after that, I kept the link, I kept the link. And during one of the occasions, I was invited to do an interview with a group called Just for Women. And I decided to send her the video that was actually on YouTube.
Yeah.
Immediately, she told me, I'm calling you. And that's where the relationship started, And I was so amazed and, you know, blessed, because it's not every day that you find somebody, a coach like Toyin, making time to talk. And I think we spoke for like 45 minutes, if not 1 hour. And you gave me, I mean, we went through things. You were telling me, this is what I want you to do. This is what you can do. This is what is possible. And even some of the things I'd never thought of. Some of them I'd been thinking of, but procrastination has gotten the better of me, and I've not been able to move. And what really struck me was the fact that she told me, we are starting. Some of these things you're saying will come, but we have to start. By June 1st, I want a poster of a webinar. And I was like, even when I told my PA who helps me with the, you know, the organizations and everything, he told me, are you sure we are going to manage this thing by 1st June? And I think my mentor has said 1st June, we have to do it. So obviously there was a lot going on at work, but when it got close to 1st June, I remembered, hey, there's a promise I have to keep here, and quickly started working on the poster. And as has been said, Toyin is somebody you send a message immediately, she responds. Even if she's not able to read or check what you have sent in, she'll tell you, please give me time. Tomorrow, you're going to hear from me. And that's how it was, because I did my first poster quickly, because I had to meet the 1st June deadline. I didn't want it to go by, because I knew if I did, then it's going to start another procrastination coming up. And there's no way I was going to go back to her and tell her I've not met the 1st June deadline. So the poster got ready. I sent it to Toyin. She looked at it, gave me advice on it, and we were good to go. And then we started. Now, the questions for the webinar, that again, the title, you know, the topic, the subtopic, we worked on that together. And eventually, when we were happy about it, the next thing was, now we need to get it out, social media. Immediately, we had to do that. So she actually walked me through, and my first webinar was actually last weekend. And I can tell you, somebody was even asking me, are you having another one this weekend? You know, and I'm like, please.
They didn't know what it took you.
Yeah. So the webinar went so well. She offered to be my first guest. You can imagine that. My first guest, free of charge, you know, just amazing. Just feel I'm so blessed to be watching.
We had over 60 participants from different California, different parts of the world. You see why I say I'm a global education
world, from Italy, from Netherlands, from California. Yes. We had people, you know, different parts of the US, from Kenya, from Nigeria, from Ghana, and they were all just amazed. They were amazed by the wealth of knowledge that you have. And even some of my workmates who had joined the next day, they were just talking so well about the webinar, and all of them are looking forward to the next one. And apart from that, on the side, classes are going on. You know, with work and classes, we are trying to, you know, race the two. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of information. A lot of information that I'm getting, a lot of things that are just making me reflect and think. Some of the things there are points where you may have studied some of these things, but you don't get it as much as I'm getting it now, because I'm looking at it in the context of education. You see? Yes. So I'm looking at it in the context of education, and every question that I'm answering, I'm looking at it from my own experience now. Having been in education for about 35 years. So I'm looking at it and, you know, going back and thinking, oh, this is why this was happening. This is how this should be happening.
Amazing.
This is how I can be doing things, you know? Wow. So it really gives me a platform on which I can be able to really just reflect and see how best I can be able to move forward from here. And I'm already, I know I've sent in my module 6 assignment. Today I'm starting module 6 because I want to finish 7 this week so that I'm up to date with everything.
Yes,
it's just amazing, from the curriculum design to the tools to the models and frameworks. It's just been fantastic. It's been fantastic.
Thank you.
So I would encourage people to join. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lucy. Yes.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. So yes, we're kicking off, and you have the opportunity to pay in 2 installments. It's 150,000 naira. And by the way, we have an automated online portal. So in case we have some international students watching this, that was how Lucy was able to get on the call. I mean, she had a little bit of glitches with our payment, but our team was able to sort that out. So it's not restricted. It will automatically convert to your currency. So let's move on. So what is the ideal time to transition and how do you go about it? I mean, this is the main meat of today's conversation because you don't want to jump out. So I've had a lot of people that jumped out, had to jump back in, and they came to me. That was after they've had the experience, and I told them that, oh, the reason why you made that mistake was because you didn't have a guide, you didn't have a support. So okay, so the first thing you need to know is that, so for example, if you are in your mid-year and you've spent quite a number of years working as a teacher, probably a decade and more, and you've spanned through being an administrator or an educational leadership role, and you have accumulated valuable expertise. Now, that is very, very important because you don't also want to jump in as someone that is naive. Okay, in curriculum, design, classroom management, educational policy, and the likes. The prime time for you to this is the prime time for you to transition because one, you already have deep knowledge. Number two, you understand the challenges educators face. Number three, you can offer solutions based on experience. So how do you go about it? Number one, you need to begin by identifying your niche. Start networking with potential clients. You need to build your brand. I mean, that was something I did for 6 solid years. A lot of people didn't know that I was still actively a school leader. When I started building my brand, I started with Facebook actually, but right now I've spanned through LinkedIn. LinkedIn is doing very well. I'm having almost about 10,000 connections as I speak. And then consider developing online courses or workshop in that your niche or expertise. Then another time that is ideal for you to transition and how to go about is when you are seeking greater flexibility and work-life balance. So you are beginning to get overwhelmed by the traditional teaching or administrative, scheduling for a long time. It's no longer aligning with your personal needs. Okay, one of the beautiful things that educational consulting offers you is the flexibility to work on your terms. That's the truth. So today I've been working back to back, and I can decide on Monday morning why everybody is running helter skelter. After having my meeting with my team, I can decide to go back to bed. And that's just the truth, because yes, on days when I don't go out talking, facilitating and everything, I have my midday naps, and people don't believe me. Yes, and they're like, how do you do it? I do have my naps because it actually recharges me. So how do you want to go about it? So you can start with taking on smaller projects first, giving yourself time to adjust. You can set your hours. You can be intentional about the clients that you want to work with. You want to scale your workload to see if it fits. So like I said initially, develop your portfolio, case studies based on past successes and all of that. Very important. Another time that it's ideal for you to transition is after completing an advanced education or certification program so for example, you've completed your master's, your doctorates in administration, instructional design, or related field. Now it begins to make sense for you to transition because now you have a specialized knowledge in a particular area. So remember what I told you when I was sharing my story, that I knew this was the long-term vision for me. So I finished serving on a Friday and I started my master's on a Monday. Now, when I was about to register my education consulting firm, one of the things they asked me for was my master's certificate. So I was ready. It was easy for me to present it, register the business, and to kick off. So you need to use your academic credentials to demonstrate expertise and authority, and that's just the truth. So I've done a lot of publications in newspapers. I mean, this week alone, I still had a new blog that was, publicized by EduGist, which is an education publication and company here in Nigeria, right? And he was talking about my interaction with a program organized by Lagos State to empower girl leadership in the States. And so it's just so amazing because it just helps you to be able to build that competence as well. And then, you know, you want to connect with your alumni network, find opportunities for consulting, both within and outside school, but you must get the knowledge. So another time you can actually also transition is when you are passionate about education reforms, okay? When you have a strong desire to influence education on a broader scale beyond the classroom, consulting allows you to contribute to policy reform, system-wide changes, or even innovative programs that can help to shape the future of education. How do you want to go about this? You want to begin to align, do some strategic volunteering. You want to also begin to align with organizations or government bodies that need consultants that will help along those lines. All right, look out for non-governmental organizations, both locally, nationally, internationally, educational boards, or even advocacy groups. Okay, so every single year I take my time and I look out for non-governmental organizations that aligns with my long-term vision. Now, what that does for you is that it begins to open up doors and access. So gone are those days when you are waiting and sitting down pretty, waiting for opportunities to come your way. It's important for you to begin to go ahead and look out for. So ChatGPT has made life easy. Those days, I will sit down on the computer for long hours. I'll be searching using different keywords on Google. But now you can easily access those things. So you need to be able to do some searches so that you can begin to identify those organizations. Start with volunteering, start with aligning yourself. Nobody will throw away anybody that is bringing value for free. But the truth is that in the long term, that value will definitely pay off. Now, another ideal time to transition is after you have reached a leadership plateau. So, for example, in your school or your organization, you know, there are some organizations that it has to be an expatriate that will have the peak position. The only farthest you can go is number 2 or number 3 within the organization. Yes, there are schools like that in Lagos and in the entirety of Nigeria, depending on where you're joining in from. So when you realize that you have outgrown the system, I mean, you know you have an opportunity to still get promotions, but hey, the policy or the nomenclature or the organogram of the school is either an expatriate or a white person or no other. You don't want to begin to realize that, okay, now you have accomplished much, you have done quite a lot that you've set out to do. I mean, consulting is one of the best ways in which you can expand your impact beyond that school across multiple other schools and locations. So how do you go about it? You want to start working closely with schools. Maybe they don't have the capacity to pay you so much, but they can start with paying you, you know, little by little, and you can help them work around school improvements, leadership coaching, curriculum development. Basically, you just want to leverage your network and begin to see who can recommend you for consulting projects. Sometimes you may even have to do, you know, ones that are quite free, but let them at least pay you for logistics, okay? And then you start building your reputation, offering workshops and speaking engagement. And when you do those things, don't go and hide the pictures. Some of us, we have assignments that we have done and we want to transit, we are hiding. Worst case, if you have people in your school that are following you up and down everywhere, open a page for your consulting this thing and begin to post and make sure that you don't accept their friendship. It's as simple as that. Right? Because that's some of the advice I give some of the people that I've already signed on and they're like, please ma, people are monitoring spirits everywhere. They're monitoring me on my socials and all of that. Now, another ideal time is when you see there's a demand for the market. So I oftentimes ask people, what do you need to start a business? And people give me a lot of, so let me even ask that question. What do you think you need to start a business? Not to worry, in the next 10 minutes, we'll be wrapping up. So let's because of course, I'm also a small business consultant. So type in the comments, what do you think you need to start a business? Let me even test the temperature in the room. Okay, Lucy, Aderonke, Omolola, Beauty, Helene. What do you think you need to start a business? Is this, I'm trying to see, is this Hajo, Oluwatoyin, Temitope, Emmanuel, Ijoma, Onosoya, Yemisi, Adebola, Felix, what do you think you need to start a business? I need to see our comments in the chat. Business pain, okay, let's keep it coming. That's from Omolola. Hands-on training, okay. Oh, sorry, business plan. Sorry, Lucy. Business plan. Okay, that's okay. I'm gonna also says business plan. All right, let me have 2 more responses. I have 3 people now. Let me just have 2 more responses. Especially if your answer is different from what is already in the chat. I like to read from you. What do you think you need to start a business? Creative teaching among teachers. Okay. That's coming from Abiodun. 1 more and then we will be good. Okay, so that is why you see all your questions are all your responses are just add-ons. What you actually need to start a business is a customer. It is a customer. And a business starts and thrives when there is a need. After all, why are you in business? Is to meet a need and to solve a problem. So one of the reasons why, sorry about that. So one of the reasons why, we are constantly in business is because we are always positioning to get new customers, to get people to see us, know us, like us, trust us, and then we solve their problem and then they give us our money. Simple. So you see all these other things, business plan, expert, all those things will fall in line. Let one customer pay you money. Let them just pay you money like this. Everything, every other thing will fall into place. So when there's a demand, yeah, true. That's an insight I've given you for free tonight. Thank you for the hearts, for the loves, for the emojis. Thank you. That's really torturing me. So when you notice that there's any growing demand in any specialized area, whether it's remote learning, educational, let me tell you, a lot of teachers that are doing virtual teaching now, they are cashing out like mad. I have a mentee that she has clients in Canada, in America, name it. And she's working with an international school. So we're already planning our exits. How sweet can that be? Because she's beginning to look at her books and realize that what she's earning in a month, from those other stuff is, I can say that again. I'm suspecting you, Abiodun. I'm suspecting you seriously. Because this, you can say that again, and came in so strongly. Okay, so apologies about that. Let me get back to my screen. Okay, so when we discover that that is very important, it's just so important that we begin to leverage on it. So that is the time you need to begin to transition, and that is one of the reasons why you need a coach and a mentor in your life, so that you can actively, after transitioning, it's easier for you to come back to say, hey, my mentees, they know me. You don't do a program with us and then we throw you out. No, we always have an alumni for everything, just like the way we have. So it's like a funnel. We have our free groups. We have the main group where the main thing is going on. And then we have our alumni group. All right. So you need to position yourself as an expert in trending areas, develop case studies, resources, digital resources, courses, ebooks, templates, name it. All right. And then, of course, you begin to help these people, and then make sure you attend conferences, networking events, and let people know, hey, this is what I do. Because if it's in demand, people will need it. So where financial stability is achieved. So the truth is, you need some form of financial stability to be able to successfully transition. So one of the reasons why people jump in and jump out is because when they now jump out, they say, Dr. Twain, this is not easy. So I remember that for myself, at least I had like a 1-year exit plan. And one of the things I also did, aside from the fact that I was able to do a lot of savings, I'd already started making a lot of money from mentoring, from other stuff. So much so that from 2 or 3 clients, I already have my whole entire month's salary covered. So you don't just jump out. So you want to make sure that you have started acquiring customers. Even if you are the business and it's not yet registered, acquire customer first. Start having people, let people know you, let people buy from you. You may want to start with savings or investments. Some people wait till retirement, but for me, I don't think I want to retire because I just love what I do. Okay, so transitioning into consulting can be can be a fulfilling way to start active in the education sector without financial pressure of a full-time job. So you want to make sure that you have what it takes. Okay. And then you can also even have some other side hustles that are not your 9 to 5 in teaching, that you know that at least it's giving you very good money that you can fall back on, because I won't tell you that it's as easy as that. When you jump in, I wouldn't say I never really, I maybe except for during COVID, but even during COVID, I was able to innovate and come up with 30 days productivity challenge. And I got people that at least still paid like 10,000 naira per month. And I got like almost like 10 to 15 people. And you agree with me that during COVID, 10,000 naira was a lot of money to pay for training, for that matter, because I saw the need. I realized that, okay, people were less productive and I could help them to become productive. So I had people from bankers to name it that I was able to serve during that period. So when so yes, I think that would be all of these are for the full-time students. Okay, so that's going to be all that I'll be sharing with us tonight. So thank you once again for joining and for being a part of tonight's session. And at this point, I'm going to stop sharing because I promise that we should be out any moment from now. So how has it been? One word. How has it been like for you tonight? I want to say a very big thank you for being a part of my evening. I want to say a special thank you to, first off, a very special thank you to Aderonke and Lucy for spending their time together with me this evening. I mean, I love you guys so much, and I'm so proud of what you're doing and how you are doing. And then, of course, we'll have the replay of the session once it's ready. Hopefully tomorrow it will drop on the group. So you can just feel free to share with your friends and your colleagues that we're not here tonight. I mean, it's a free webinar, so it doesn't cost you anything to share. The more we are able to spark up and enlighten our world, the better for it. All right, so yeah. All right, thank you everyone. And hey, yes, Emmanuel says top notch. I'm getting good vibes from the room. Okay, okay, there's somebody that wants to ask a question. Okay, not a problem. Emmanuel says top notch. Omolola says inspiring and eye-opening. Absolutely. Lucy says great session. Okay, so Abiodun, you may want to unmute your mic. I can see you raised your digital hand and ask your question quickly before we call it a night.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Ella.
Ah!
Okay. I'd like to say a very big thank you to Dr. Toy. It was an eye opener. But don't worry, this is the first leg. There shall be a return leg. Thank you so much. Thank you for
thank you. Okay, thank you so much, Ella. So that's the sister in the room. She's also a very very, 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 very efficient human beings. Okay, so Felix says inspiring. All right, thank you, everybody. So since there are no questions to ask, I want to say a very big thank you to everyone once again and have an amazing evening. So for those that will be watching the replay wherever you are in the world, please drop your learnings. I would like to read and respond to them. And thank you also for watching. So that will be it for me tonight. And